This is not normal. Not this many diplomatic visits in 1 week, not this many troop movements, not this many accusations, all landing at the same time. February 8th, Ethiopia accuses Eritrea of military aggression. February 9th, Eritrea fires back, calling the accusation deplorable. February 10th, Reuters drops a bombshell, allegations of a secret RSF training camp inside Ethiopia. February 11th, Saudi Arabia's foreign minister lands in Addis Ababa. February 12th, Egypt showcases troops training for Somalia deployment. Eritrea releases a strategic partnership letter with Sudan. All eyes on Addis Ababa. This is HornAfrica Insight. Here's why Ethiopia just became the most dangerous chessboard in the Horn of Africa, and why what happens in Addis this week will reshape the entire region. Before we connect the dots, understand the foundation. Ethiopia has over 120 million people. That's larger than Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, Eritrea, and Djibouti combined. Its GDP ranks among Africa's top 5 economies. Ethiopian Airlines dominates the continent's skies. The African Union headquarters sits in Addis Ababa, where this week, the 39th AU Assembly is underway. Ethiopia's military is modernizing, drone capabilities expanding, artillery production growing, domestic defense manufacturing accelerating. Its economy is opening after years of restriction. Banking reforms, telecom liberalization, mining sector access. But here's what matters most: geography. Ethiopia sits at the crossroads of the Horn of Africa. Landlocked, yes, but strategically central to everything happening around the Red Sea, the Nile, and Sudan's civil war. When Ethiopia moves, the region recalculates. When the region moves toward Ethiopia, everyone pays attention. And this week, everyone moved. Let's walk through what happened, day by day. February 8th, Ethiopia's foreign minister accuses Eritrea of occupying Ethiopian territory and supporting armed groups inside Ethiopia. The statement demands immediate withdrawal. February 9th, Eritrea responds within 24 hours. Its government calls Ethiopia's accusations deplorable and insists Eritrean forces operate only within internationally recognized borders. No discussion needed, Asmara says. February 10th, Reuters publishes an investigation alleging Ethiopia is hosting a covert training camp for Sudan's rapid support forces in Benishangul-Gumuz region. The report claims thousands of fighters, potential UAE financing satellite imagery evidence. Ethiopia responds by revoking journalist accreditations. The UAE categorically denies involvement. February 11th, Saudi Arabia's foreign minister, Prince Faisal bin Farhan, arrives in Addis Ababa. He meets Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Official statements emphasize bilateral relations, regional stability, shared priorities. The very next day, Saudi Arabia's deputy foreign minister visits Asmara, Eritrea. February 12th, Egypt stages a highly visible military training exercise for troops deploying to Somalia as part of the African Union mission. The display features combat vehicles, field exercises, readiness demonstrations. Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and Egypt's defense minister inspect the forces personally. Also February 12th, Eritrea's ambassador to Sudan publishes a detailed letter titled Sudanese-Eritrean Relations, a firm partnership beyond geography, rooted in a shared destiny. The message: Eritrea positions itself as Sudan's strategic cornerstone. This is not coincidence. This is convergence. The Reuters report changes calculations immediately, whether fully accurate or not. The allegation: Ethiopia is hosting a training camp for Sudan's rapid support forces. Thousands of fighters. Alleged UAE backing. Benishangul-Gumuz region near the Sudanese border. If true, This means Ethiopia is actively intervening in Sudan's civil war, on the side opposing Sudan's official government, the SAF. If false, it's a narrative weapon designed to isolate Ethiopia diplomatically. Here's why this matters strategically. Egypt backs Sudan's SAF government. Turkey has growing ties with SAF. Saudi Arabia maintains relationships with Sudanese authorities. If Ethiopia is perceived as backing the RSF, even if only alleged, that directly conflicts with Egypt, Turkey, and Saudi interests in Sudan. Perception alone shifts alignments. Ethiopia's response was swift. Revoke journalist credentials, deny the allegations. But the story is already circulating. The damage to Ethiopia's regional positioning doesn't require proof. It requires belief. And in geopolitics, belief is enough to change behavior. But let's not pretend this relationship is simple. When Ethiopia was consumed by the Tigray War, Sudan moved military forces into al-Fashaga, disputed border territories that Ethiopian farmers had cultivated for years. Sudan took control. Ethiopian farmers were displaced. The land remained under Sudanese authority even after Ethiopia's internal conflict subsided. There were also allegations, never fully confirmed, that Sudan hosted forces linked to the Tigray People's Liberation Front during Ethiopia's civil war. Some reports even claimed TPLF elements fought alongside Sudan's armed forces in border skirmishes. So when today's narrative suggests Ethiopia is interfering inside Sudan, context matters. Sudan and Ethiopia's relationship has long been layered with territorial disputes, rival claims, and strategic mistrust. Now, Sudan itself is fractured. A civil war between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces. Parallel authorities emerging. Regional actors quietly positioning themselves. If Ethiopia is supporting certain structures inside Sudan, that's not emotional. That's strategic calculation. Geopolitics remembers who took what when. And then Eritrea steps forward, not with troops, but with narrative. On February 12th, Eritrea's ambassador to Sudan releases a lengthy strategic letter. The language is deliberate, firm partnership beyond geography, shared destiny, strategic cornerstone for regional stability. The message is unmistakable. Eritrea is positioning itself as Sudan's reliable partner, as a defender of sovereignty, as a pillar against fragmentation. Coincidence that this letter drops the same week Ethiopia faces RSF allegations? Unlikely. Because if Sudan tilts toward Eritrea as its regional anchor, and Ethiopia is cast as backing Sudan's enemies, the Horn doesn't just shift, it polarizes. And polarization hardens positions, makes dialogue harder, makes conflict more likely. At the same time, tensions rise directly between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Ethiopia accuses Eritrea of occupying its territory. Eritrea refuses to discuss withdrawal. Reports emerge of troop redeployments near Tigray. UN officials warn of volatility. If this reignites, it will not remain local. Now, zoom out to the broader pattern. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Turkey. Three countries that have spent years on opposite sides of regional conflicts, Yemen, Libya, Qatar, are increasingly converging in the Horn of Africa. Not a formal alliance, but directional alignment. Shared concern. What they perceive as expanding Israel-UAE influence in East Africa following Israel's recognition of Somaliland. Saudi shuttle diplomacy, Addis Ababa one day, Asmara the next, signals active positioning, not passive observation. Egypt's very public military deployment to Somalia sends a message. We are present. We are committed. We are watching Ethiopia's moves. Turkey's President Erdogan is scheduled to visit Ethiopia soon. But first, Riyadh and Cairo. The circuit itself reveals coordination. This is not a formal anti-Ethiopia coalition, but it is a recalculation around Ethiopia. A shared objective emerges: prevent fragmentation, prevent vacuum, prevent outside actors from dominating the Horn's future. And Ethiopia sits directly in the middle of this recalculation, not as victim, but as the variable everyone is trying to account for. Because Ethiopia's choices, who it aligns with, what it does in Sudan, how it responds to Eritrea, will determine whether this region stabilizes or fractures. We must be precise here. Not every event this week was directly coordinated. Some overlap is timing, some is opportunism. The RSF allegations may be accurate intelligence, strategic disinformation, or something in between. Verification remains incomplete. Saudi Arabia's visits to both Addis and Asmara could signal balancing, not choosing sides. Egypt's Somalia deployment was planned months ago, not a direct response to this week's events. But even if these events aren't perfectly orchestrated, the pattern is real. Regional powers are repositioning around Ethiopia. Accusations are flying. Military moves are visible. Diplomatic circuits are activating. Whether by design or momentum, alignments are forming. And once alignments harden, they become very difficult to reverse. 5 days, 5 major developments, all intersecting in one place. Ethiopia accused Eritrea. Eritrea fired back. Reuters alleged RSF training camps. Ethiopia denied. Saudi Arabia shuttled between Addis and Asmara. Egypt showcased Somalia-bound troops. Eritrea pledged partnership with Sudan. This is not random instability. This is structural reorganization. The Horn of Africa is rearranging itself, not directed by distant superpowers, but shaped by regional actors recalibrating their influence around one unavoidable reality. Ethiopia is too large to ignore, too central to bypass, too powerful to isolate. Landlocked? Yes, but strategically isolated? Never. Influence isn't measured by coastline, it's measured by scale, population, military capacity, economic weight, diplomatic gravity, and Ethiopia carries all of it. The question is no longer, why is Ethiopia in the spotlight? The real question is, who will align with whom as these positions harden? Because when the Horn shifts, the Red Sea shifts. When the Red Sea shifts, shipping routes recalculate. Energy flows adjust. Military deployments respond. And the world pays attention. All eyes on Addis Ababa. Not because Ethiopia is collapsing, because Ethiopia is deciding. We'll be tracking every move. This is HornAfrica Insight, where the Horn's quiet moves speak the loudest.